The last advanced syntactic feature I'll introduce here is the ability to pass an arbitrary number of arguments to our functions, if we choose to do so. For this purpose, we may prepend the star character to the last parameter appearing in the parentheses section of a function header, as shown here. This tells Python to allow for any number of arguments to be passed to the function and to capture them in a list that can be referenced with the given parameter name in the body of the function. Then we can use a for loop to extract and traverse every argument in the list, as shown here. It's then up to you to decide what actions to perform for each argument according to the set of statements given in the body of this loop. The main program can then invoke this function with, for instance, 1 argument, or 3 arguments, or even 0 arguments. Let's look at a scenario in which the use of arbitrary arguments becomes particularly suitable. The function shown here, called sum, calculates the sum, as its name suggests, of all values passed in the list of arguments, considering that any number of arguments may be given in a particular invocation. For this purpose, the function initializes a local variable named result to 0, assuming 0 to be the default value returned if no argument were given in a specific invocation. Next, we traverse the list of arguments captured in variable values using a for loop, where variable value, in singular, adopts the value of each individual argument in each iteration of the loop. In the body of the loop, we add the current value to variable result. The last block of code simply returns the accumulated sum as the result of the function. Here are some possible function calls made in a simple main program. This first call passes 2 arguments set to 10 and 20 respectively and prints the result, 30, into the terminal. The second call uses 4 arguments, 10, 20, 30, and 40, and prints the result, 100. The last call uses no argument at all, leading to a result equal to 0. These calls clearly show the additional flexibility provided by arbitrary arguments. In a function that uses this feature, we're no longer constrained to a specific number of arguments. Now let me show you a small extension of this example in which we're combining the use of positional and arbitrary arguments in the same function header. Here, we're extending the header of our sum function with 1 positional argument named negate. This argument is expected to contain a Boolean value indicating whether we want the sum to be negated before it's returned as the result of the function. If the calculated sum is, say, 20, and argument negate is set to true, we'll return -20 instead. This behavior is accomplished by the additional block of code highlighted here, where result is set to -result if negate is true. It's important to note that the combination of positional and arbitrary arguments is only possible when positional arguments appear at the end of the function header. In other words, only the last parameter in the function header may contain the star symbol. When Python then finds a function call, it will first attempt to map individual positional arguments and will consider the remaining ones as the list of arbitrary arguments. Let's look at some sample invocations for this function. This first call uses arguments false, 10, and 20. Python first maps argument false to parameter negate in the function header and considers 10 and 20 to be the list of arbitrary arguments assigned to parameter values. The result printed in the terminal for this call is 30. The second call uses arguments true, 10, 20, 30, and 40. Once again, positional argument true is assigned to parameter negate, and the remaining values are interpreted as the arbitrary arguments. The output of this call is -100. If you enjoyed this content, you may watch the rest of this lesson at computersciencecamp.com, linked in the description below. You'll be able to follow along with coding samples and problems in our embedded code editor. Drop your questions in the comment section below, and don't forget to like and subscribe to help support the channel. Thank you, and happy coding!